Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. We're live here at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Rube, it's November 26th. Thanksgiving is in a couple of days. This is wild.
Yeah, the season goes by so fast. It takes forever to get there. Once it starts, the weeks just fly by.
I got home from LA and my neighbors had their Christmas decorations up. And at first I was like, what are they doing? And then I realized it's late November. It's that time.
It is. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Crunch time. Stretch run.
Richard T time.
It is Richard T time.
I'll make you tell the Richard T story at the end of the pod, if that's
All right.
okay. That's a good tease for the end. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit of Brandon Graham out for the season. We knew that after the game, but we've had a little bit of time to let it sink in, and we'll kind of talk about where the Eagles go from here. We got a chance on Monday Night Football to watch the Ravens play. They got a big win, so we'll kind of give our early thoughts on them. We'll have our updated top 10 power rankings in the NFL, see where the Eagles, if they've moved up, if they've stayed the same after the win. And then we have a bunch of listener questions to get to. I opened the inbox this morning, and I was like, "Oh, we got a lot to get to today." So let's start with Brandon Graham. He told us after the game that he was out for the season. For whatever reason, Nick Sirianni was like holding out hope, but he confirmed it for what it's worth. Brandon Graham is out for the season.
Well, he wouldn't answer. He wouldn't confirm, even though BG sat at his locker and said, "I'm done. I'm not going to play again this year." After that, Nick wouldn't confirm it. So then today, somebody said, "Can you confirm that?" Somebody asked him on his presser, his Zoom call, "Can you confirm that BG's out for the year?" And he's like, "I think everyone knows he's out for the year." Well, you didn't answer it last time.
Yeah,
but anyway,
whatever. Yeah, Brandon's done for the year. I saw him on WIP. Got a little emotional about it. I think it finally sank in. I think right after the game, it's just so fresh. It kind of doesn't even feel real. But yeah, he is done for the season. It's a torn triceps. He needs surgery. He'll be around the team. I thought, I gave Nick Sirianni the chance to brag about Brandon a little bit, and he took that, and he should. He mentioned it, like every workplace should have a Brandon Graham, and he talked about, if you're having a bad day and you run into BG, like you're not having a bad day anymore.
It's really true.
Yeah, it's amazing the positivity, and like that matters, and it's going to matter for this team down the stretch. Like even if he's not on the field, I know some of that stuff sounds hokey, and it's not like they won't miss him on the field. They will for sure, but they'll have the other aspects of Brandon Graham, which are very important.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't underestimate how good he's played this year and just how much they'll miss him there. But I've never been around a guy like him who's so genuine, so inspirational. I mean, he's such a mentor to not just edge rushers or D linemen or defense. I mean, everybody on the team will go to him for guidance and wisdom and advice. He's one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And man, I mean, I hope, I don't know how it's going to work as far as rehab and when the surgeries, just when he's going to be back in the locker room. It's tough. It's not the same just being in there if you're not playing. And maybe for him it will be just because of he's been doing it for so long at such a high level. But it's never the same. I mean, just the BG in the tunnel with, the BG on the sidelines, the BG on the field, between plays, trash talking. I mean, so much goes into his contributions, and it's not just being in the locker room. So they're going to miss that a lot. They're going to miss everything about him. But again, 2017, you think about all the guys they lost that year, JP and Jordan Hicks and, the quarterback, Chris Maragos. Who else got hurt? A bunch of
Sproles.
Guys. Big V or Jason Peters, Big V played. But, yeah, Darren Sproles got hurt. He didn't play again. So, yeah, the show goes on.
The first person I thought of, honestly, was Jason Peters, because there's that, you remember Lane Johnson running out of the tunnel in the Super Bowl carrying the Jason Peters jersey. Like, I was thinking about that after the game. Like, this team in New Orleans, who is it? I don't know. Jordan Davis carrying out a Brandon Graham jersey. Like, that was the first thought.
I'm sure
in my mind.
It's going to be like a rallying cry. I mean, let's win it for BG. I mean, I don't know how far that can take you. I don't know how
And like and Nick talked about, the guys who are injured are a part of this team no matter what. I think about like Jason Peters carried the Lombardi Trophy out of the locker room that night. Like he won a Super Bowl. He doesn't care that he wasn't on the field. I'm sure he cares, but it didn't like diminish it in any way in his eyes. And
Yeah.
I think Brandon would feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. I mean, who gave you the Lombardi to hold? Somebody.
No, I didn't accept it.
But somebody
It was
tried to hand it to you, right?
Yeah, we were in the locker room, and it was Corey Clement and, gosh, was it? It was another running back, maybe LeGarrette. Were like taking a photo, and I was like taking a photo of them with the Lombardi, and Corey had it, and he was like looking for someone to give it to after because they were all like passing it around. And he looked at me and like went, "Huh? I said, no, I can't. I didn't win that."
Yeah, that would be a good opportunity for a selfie, though.
Just me,
Ethics
I
be
run
damned.
out of the
Yeah.
out of the locker
Or just
room.
take it with you. Just throw it in your bag. The mystery Lombardi. But yeah, we miss him in so many ways. And
One of my favorite parts of Sunday night, though, was him already game planning how to use this in his trash talk. Basically, like he said,
yeah, it was funny.
let people know how lucky they is that I'm out. That's what he said.
And he's the best. I mean, he is the best trash talker I've ever seen. And when you hear that stuff later, it's just like I just can't believe he says all that.
One of my favorite things recently has been the live mics from the refs have like started to like you can hear Brandon in the background,
Yeah.
like him trash talking George W. Bush a few weeks ago. Yeah, so like he'll be around. I think I did a big Brandon Graham story back in 2015. It was like right when I got on the beat full time. It was like I think my first big story, and it was because he was finally a starter that year for really the first time in his career, and they were going to Detroit to play. It was a game that it was really ugly. It was a bad loss for them, but I found out a lot about BG that like I didn't know. We had all been around this guy, but like finding out about his upbringing and like he had like a kind of a rough childhood. Grew up in a tough area, but he was always kind of shielded from it, and like he was always positive even back then, like when he was in some rough situations. So it's kind of cool to know that he's been that way his whole life.
Was that the game Ryan Matthews fumbled?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was not a fun interview that day. Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but I mean, I've just people should know how much BG has meant to me over the years. Just sometimes you need some perspective that, and there's things he told me about his life that I would never share. And that I was shocked to hear, but that were inspirational to me and helped me be a better person. And he's just meant so much to me. And he hasn't died. He's still around. We'll see him. So I don't want to be too, gloomy. But it's a sad day for the whole organization because he's the heartbeat of that NovaCare complex. He really is.
Yeah. And he still will be. On the field, they're going to miss him because he was playing at a really high level. And in a way, like if that was his final NFL game, like, man, he went out playing great. I mean, he was such a dynamic player in that game, really has been all year. So let's talk about where they are at that position right now. You have Josh Sweat, who I think we both agree is playing really well, having a great bounce-back season. He's the top guy. Then you have Nolan Smith, who was kind of slotted in as the other starter even before Bryce Huff got hurt. And then you have Jalix Hunt, who's a rookie third-round pick, played 24 snaps on Sunday night, did not play at all the previous game, played 25 snaps before that, was getting over an ankle injury. He's going to be a part of the rotation. But those are the only three on the 53-man roster right now.
Yeah, and they've been really careful to keep those guys' snaps down with this rotation. I think Nolan's playing less than half the snaps. I think he's about 44%. Sweaty's playing 63%. So those are good numbers. And there was a stretch last year where these guys played too much, and I think it had something to do with their collapse defensively. Guys just played, especially that Buffalo game when they played 93 defensive snaps. I mean, it was just guys, that's a lot. And a lot of guys weren't the same after that. And so you got to really be careful because this rotation has worked to getting the most out of Nolan and Sweat. You could probably bump up each of them because there's only 6 games left in a regular season. You bump them up a little bit, and I think Jalix, if you can get 25 snaps out of him a game, you'd be thrilled. There's two guys on the practice squad.
Before we get to that, let's
Yeah.
talk about the other options on the 53.
Sure.
Because Milton Williams is a guy who has played on the edge
Yeah.
quite a bit. I don't think that's like a permanent solution, but like especially on early downs, I think you can run him out there at defensive end.
Yeah, first and second down, put him out there, and he can eat some snaps, but it's not going to be a big number.
Probably not. Now, what do you think about the idea of maybe playing Zach Bond on the edge? Now, you might have to replace him at linebacker.
That's the problem.
With a Jeremiah Trotter or an Oren Burks. Is that something you'd consider?
No, because he's just. I don't want to change anything with Zach Bond. I think you're making a mistake if you take him out of this role where he's excelling. I'd rather have Oren Burks play edge, for a few snaps than move Zach Bond. I just think, you know what, it's going so well for him. He's playing at such a high level. I don't want to move him.
Now, naturally, there have been moments where they kind of walk him up to the line and let him rush, and I think you can do stuff like that. Like I don't know if it's a kind of play him at edge and replace him. I think it's more of like you play him at edge and then you replace him with a dropper, like a Josh Sweat kind of drops into coverage. We've seen them do that, like some of those those zone blitzes with like Nakobe. That was where he got a sack in the last game. Nakobe blitzes, Josh Sweat drops. Like you can kind of do that with Zach Bond, like walking him up to the line. I think that is probably like a middle ground solution with him.
Yeah, and man, I remember Buddy Ryan used to drop Clyde Simmons and Reggie White back into coverage. So it's something that if you have an athletic, like, you're not going to have to cover for long.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully you're not going to be 30 yards, back in the backfield. But these are all things that you can do here and there. But you're not going to replace. I mean, BG was playing, 20? What was he averaging? About 27 snaps a game. Let's see, BG, Brandon Graham, 311 snaps.
Like 46%. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a high number. He's playing more than Nolan Smith. So he's playing.
Although Nolan started off slower and has been playing more and more.
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Nolan's 31, 23, 21, 31, 21, 26, 30. He's been right in that area.
His percentage has gone up, though.
Anyway.
Well, that matters more than the raw number.
The percentage has been about the same, but if you go through it. But BJ, the important thing is you need to replace 28 snaps. BG's averaging 28 snaps a game. And you want to play Nolan and Sweat each 5 to 7 more snaps. I think if you get over that, you're asking for trouble. You still have 15, 20 snaps to fill. So that's where I think you're going to have somebody else in that rotation. Maybe you can increase Jalix Hunt a little bit. I don't think you want to go over 25.
Yeah, well, you look at it though. Like for most of the year, Jalix Hunt has not been a part of the rotation.
Right.
So they've had a 4-man rotation. So
Right.
like they still have 4. That's it depending on who the fourth is. Like they have 3 right now. The fourth would probably be a Teron Jackson from the practice squad.
Well, let's talk about those two guys, Teron Jackson and O'Shawn Mathis, who I think they were both 6th-round picks. Mathis has bounced around a little bit. I think he played earlier this year for the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. And another one, KJ Henry. The Eagles apparently expected to sign him per Mike Garafolo, former 5th-round pick from the Commanders. So,
I'm sorry, what's his name?
KJ Henry.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they'll have some options. I don't think any of those options are like plug him and play him 20 snaps a game.
Well, the good thing about the guys on the practice squad, at least they know the defense a little bit. I think Mathis just got here recently, I believe.
Yeah, because they traded out.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's look, there's no perfect solution. There's no ideal. Teron Jackson's been here. I mean, he was drafted here in 21. Now, that was like 4 defensive coordinators ago. He was here in 22 as well. That was 3 defensive coordinators ago. So, but I think he's been on the practice squad since October? I think he wasn't at the beginning of the year, I believe.
Yeah, because he spent time with Carolina.
Yeah, he was with the Panthers. That's a little upgrade right there. Go from the Panthers to
He came back in earlier this month, November 7th.
Okay.
It was funny. I actually had a long chat with Teron Jackson in the locker room on Friday, just chatting about his time in Carolina and coming back here. He's happy to be back.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I think that might make the most sense.
For right now, yeah. Now, there is like the veteran option I'm sure everyone has seen. I've been getting a ton of questions about Shaq Barrett. Has asked to be reinstated. He retired in July. The Dolphins hold his rights, so I guess they're going to have to work through that. If he wants to play for a different team, the Dolphins would have to release him. I don't know why they would want to do that, but if he's going to an NFC team, they might not care.
Yeah, was he 32, 33? He hasn't been good for a few years. That's the kind of move they would have made last year. I'd rather have a young guy in there, but then a guy who
he's 32.
32.
I don't know. He's
hasn't played this year.
He started 16 games last year with Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, I would bring him in for a look-see. I guess I'm just like gun shy about that kind of guy because that's what got him in trouble last year. All those older, bouncing around veterans, guys who were retired or weren't playing. I would just be really careful with a guy like that. But
yeah, but I think like you're in a situation where you don't have a ton of options.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think the younger options. I think options who've been here are better.
Okay. Than a Shaq Barrett?
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if he were to be available to you, he'd be a better option.
You probably have to give something up to get him.
You can't trade.
No, you can't trade. But yeah, I mean, what would the motivation be for the Dolphins to let the Eagles have him or to release him?
To release him? To not be jerks and hold on to a player who doesn't want to play for you? I mean, that would be it.
Well,
I believe he's a Rosenhaus guy, so like the agent has some sway there, like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess my philosophy is just that if a guy's been here and knows the defense and has been part of this group, I would start there.
Yeah, I think you start there, but I think it might take some time to get a player like that caught up to speed.
Yeah, there's 6 weeks left, so you don't have a ton of time. I mean, you got to. Like, who's going to help you more against the Steelers and the Bengals and the Panthers? Oh, so we'll see. But I would expect Teron Jackson to be promoted to the 53.
I mean, they don't even have to do that if they don't want to. He has
they can
the
make him a
elevations,
call up.
so you have a little while to figure that out.
Yeah, they will have a roster spot. They put BG on IR. They signed Henry to the practice squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a few options. I don't think he's played. Has he played at all
This season?
or last season? He was drafted last season.
He played. He's played 4 games this year: 2 with Cincinnati, 2 with Dallas.
So this is his 4th team in 2 years. Eagles have a lot of former commanders, don't they? Well, yeah, we'll see what they do.
Not an easy thing. And look, Bryce Huff, when he went to IR, it's like, he's not really playing that well. They're going to need him. I mean, they're going to need him whenever he's healthy. He has to miss at least 3 more games, but it's going to he's going to be a big addition to the early playoff run of this team.
Presumably. I mean, if whoever whoever they go with now plays well, then maybe not. It's probably a mistake to rely too heavily on him, based on what we saw when he was playing.
I don't know. I thought he showed some good signs.
He showed some signs.
Yeah.
But you're better with him than without him. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and in that, they might really need him.
They might.
Wouldn't that be a great story if he comes back and gives them something after not really doing much and then getting hurt, going to IR?
I mean, he's a talented guy. I mean, he had double-digit sacks last year. So.
And it wasn't like a fluke year based on the advanced stats that they trust so much. Like, he has some traits that are good. He's still 26.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's some beaten down guy at the end of his career. Like, and it's a wrist injury, so presumably he's going to be able to stay in somewhat decent shape.
Yeah, and I would think he'd be able to play after 3 weeks. I don't know, 3 more weeks. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a double whammy to lose him and then lose BG. But
Potential. So that would like his earliest return date would be week 16 against the Commanders.
yeah,
A game that I suspect might be flexed.
could well be. Could well be.
Speaking of primetime games, we got a chance to watch the Ravens get a nice win over the Chargers in the Harbaugh Bowl. What do you make of the Ravens team? We'll get into it deeper on the next pod this week, but they're a good team. It's another tough test. We've said this now about the Commanders and the Rams, and the Eagles have passed both of those tests with flying colors.
Yeah.
To me, the Ravens is tougher than both of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And they're kind of almost like a mirror image of the Eagles in that they don't have any clear weaknesses. They're exceptional. I mean, their offense is
Well,
really.
it's so funny to think about the Ravens and be like, this offense is really like, you think about the Ravens and you think defense first. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the case with this team.
And their defense isn't quite as good as it was, but man, they look great against the Chargers for most of that game. Really physical. They're a really physical team. They obviously, the Eagles and Ravens both have. I mean, I was just looking this up before we started. There's only been 5 running backs in history with to average 110 yards, rushing yards per game, and 6 yards a carry. Only 5 in NFL history. 2 are Derrick Henry and Saquon this year. Now, I don't know if they'll keep that up, but that just kind of puts into perspective what kind of seasons these two guys are having. They're head and shoulders above every other. So now both of them are going to be facing pretty good defenses, and we'll see what gives. It's a really fun matchup. I mean, both, Lamar Jackson's being a little up and down, but he makes plays when he has to make plays. I mean, he's a dangerous guy. I think it's a really exciting matchup between two teams that have legit Super Bowl aspirations.
Man, it's really cool. Derrick Henry and Saquon have a pretty good relationship.
Yeah.
They kind of went through being running backs in this league and not getting paid what they wanted. So I think they were both happy for each other, not just to get paid, but then to go on to have success this year. I talked to Saquon a few weeks ago about that and their relationship. It's kind of fun.
Derrick Henry tweeted about after Saquon's game. Just tweeted. It was pretty funny, but yeah, it's the 2 greatest seasons ever by free agent running backs. Not just in their first year with the team, but ever. It's crazy.
Saquon's still ahead of him with 1 fewer game.
Right.
Saquon has 1392. Derrick Henry has 1325 after a 140 last night.
A 255 will help you pad those stats a little bit. That's just a crazy number. I can't get over that. But so you're going to see 2 elite defenses, 2 really dangerous quarterbacks, really clutch quarterbacks that can hurt you with their arm or their legs, and the 2 best running backs in football, and probably the 2 best running backs since AP, I guess. And I think 2 really good coaches. So it's
2 CEO coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, Harbs is one of the first guys to do that. Harbs is really
Now
good.
they hired him to be a CEO coach, whereas they did not
Right,
hire Nick to be
exactly.
a CEO coach.
Harbs is a good defensive coach. Obviously, he was a great special teams coach, the best I've ever seen. Do you know? Here's how different things are than. I think it was in 2005. It was a bad year, but the Eagles won a game against the Chargers. Ironically, Harbaugh over the Chargers, where. They blocked a game-winning field goal. I believe Quentin Michael blocked it, and Matt Ware returned it for a touchdown, for a game-winning touchdown. And after the game, Harbaugh was in the locker room with a notebook diagramming the play for us. And we took pictures of the diagram, and they ran in the paper. It was like it was a planned play. It was a planned block. And it worked. I mean, just down to the ball bouncing to Matt Ware and him running 70 whatever yards for the touchdown. But two really good coaches, 2 teams that are playing their best right now. Man, it's gonna be a fun game.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I think whoever wins this game, they're gonna make quite a statement that we're a legit Super Bowl team.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not as important, honestly, as the Rams game, just in
Right.
terms of seeding and
AFC
the eventual
team.
tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But it's to me, it's a better test in
Sure.
just pure football terms.
Yeah. I mean, if the Eagles lose or whoever loses, it's not going to kill them. I mean, they're still going to win the division. Most likely, if they don't, then we have a story to write. But and they're probably not going to get the 1 seed, win or lose. So yeah, from that standpoint, I mean, they might.
I don't know about that.
They could.
There's a long way to go in that.
There is, but I would say the Lions are more likely at this point.
Well, sure, you have a game on.
Yeah, but so my point is, if you lose this game, it won't kill you as far as playoff stuff. But if you win it, you're at the top of the heap. You're up there with the Bills and the Lions.
Yeah, and the Chiefs.
We'll see. I'm not a big believer in the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, why would you be?
Yeah.
They're just the most inevitable team ever.
Yeah. I mean, they win somehow.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break, and we'll get into that on the other side with our power rankings and a bunch of questions from all you guys.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Martorano's Prime on Open Table.
All right, we're back here, the Eagle Eye Podcast, presented by Nissan, live at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Reuben Frank and Dave Zangaro. Rube, let's get into our top 10, the power rankings. This is a good addition from you to the podcast. We've been doing it now for a few weeks.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, let's start with the number one team on both of our lists. It has not changed for me. It's the Detroit Lions.
Still the Detroit Lions.
At a bye week. Not a bye week.
They beat, well, if you want to say the Colts are.
They didn't have a bye week. They beat the Colts.
I thought the Colts might put up more of a fight. Kind of really disappointing year for Shane Steichen and that group. But they've won 10 in a row now. Or
I meant to say the next team had a bye week, but yeah.
Yeah, Bills had a bye week. They're unanimous number 2. I take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to move them not playing. You could, but I think that's unfair to them. Yes, Steichen's probably going to get the boot.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be an Eagles senior offensive analyst by January.
That might make some sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lions 1, Bills 2. Who's your number 3 team?
I moved the Eagles up past the Chiefs.
I did too.
Did you really?
Yeah, I think they're a better team right now. They're playing better. They have no weaknesses. That was a quality win against an opponent that a lot of people thought was going to give them some trouble. Early in the week last week, I know you were leaning Rams, and I really tried to talk you into that.
You did.
Yeah, I couldn't get you to do it.
I just, it was just hard for me to pick against a team that was playing as well as the Eagles. I thought it was a really tough game. I was impressed. I was really impressed with the way they responded. That is a tough game. I mean, that offense has a lot of weapons. Stafford's thrown for like 10 million yards in his career. They shut him down. It's a shame 2 weeks in a row a team got like one of those. I'm not going to say the word that we use to describe those late touchdowns that are kind of meaningless. I guess the Washington one wasn't really meaningless because it was a one possession game. But
why can't you say?
Well, I'll tell you later. But anyway,
Okay.
But I have the Eagles number 3, and the Chiefs just. I know they're 10-1, but I mean they had to scramble to beat the Panthers.
Yeah, but the Panthers are playing better.
They play hard,
I mean, Bryce is like looking
better.
pretty good right now.
Yeah, and that could be a trap game for the Eagles.
We'll worry about that when they get to it. But, I have the Chiefs at 4.
Yeah. I was tempted to move them.
I was too. But, I mean, they're 10-1, and like I mentioned, they're inevitable. I mean, they find ways to win. I know Mahomes hasn't looked great, but I just have a lot of confidence in him and Andy when it matters most.
Yeah.
5, you have the Ravens?
I do.
Do we have the same top 10?
I don't know, but I just think they're really good. And, their 4 losses have been by a total of 17 points, 8-2. They started off 0-2. They're just playing. They're really, really good. I mean, I was tempted to move them ahead of the Chiefs, but 4 losses to 1 loss, you really can't.
Yeah. Who's your 16?
I went Vikings.
Oh, no. Do we have the same top 10?
Well, if we do, we're both right.
That's true. Or we're both wrong. There's no middle ground.
That's true.
Yeah, I had the Vikings there. I moved them up a spot from last week.
They're really good. And, I mean, they've won 4 straight. They lost to the Lions and the Rams. So they're really good.
It was a tight win. It was an overtime win over the Bears.
It was.
Like, not the best quality win.
Yeah.
But they're playing well.
Yeah. I thought they were going to lose that game for a while. We were watching that, and they find a way.
7th.
I went Packers.
Me too. 8-3. I moved them up 2 spots from last week.
So did I. They went from 9 to 7. I see I have my last week's ranking here on the right. The Packers' 3 losses are to the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions, combined 28-5.
Yeah. Now, I kind of wish Brock Purdy played in that game
Sure.
to get a better sense.
Not a Brandon Allen fan?
Well, I mean, they're a different team without their quarterback, so like you'd like to see the 49ers at full strength in that game. But, hey, it was a nice win. They put up 38 points.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the Brock Purdy thing was kind of weird because, like, late in the week, I had no idea he was even hurt. And all of a sudden, I see Brandon Allen warming up. And now they don't – I don't know if he's going to play this weekend.
Daniel Jones?
I would.
I would too.
Yeah, he's better than Brandon Allen. I would have started Josh Johnson personally, but anyway. So Packers 7, Steelers 8,
Yeah.
Chargers 9.
Yep.
I moved a new team into 10.
Oh, I did too. Oh,
Broncos?
no. Golly, do we have the same top
Do you have
10?
Broncos
Yeah.
10?
That's unbelievable.
That is. What are the odds of that?
Wow.
So, can you figure that out, Tom? What are
I
the
don't
odds
love
of that?
that. Okay.
But yeah.
Uh,
So I moved the cards out. Who did you have at 10?
I had Commanders at 10.
So we have different lists in a way because we moved different teams out of the 10 spot.
We don't have different lists. It's the same top 10 list. Yeah, I think the Broncos deserve to be in that 10th spot right now. The Commanders.
Bo Nix is pretty good.
Yeah, he's playing well. The Commanders, that's a bad loss to the Cowboys. I mean, it was unlucky a little bit, but
Oh,
yeah.
It was unlucky. They're a team that
What a swing of emotions for Commanders fans.
it was insane. Yeah, the end of that game was just
If you missed it, they're down a touchdown. They throw a ball to Terry McLaurin, who reverses field a little bit and runs in for a touchdown. Then the kicker misses an extra point.
yeah,
Then the onside kick gets returned for a touchdown, which, by the way, was the wrong play
Sure.
by the Cowboys player. You got to go down there. Bonesy's got to coach him up.
yeah. Bonesy's got to have him ready. You go down, the game's over. He didn't, but yeah, the Commanders are kind of fading a little bit. Their quarterback, I'm not sure he's totally healthy, but he just hasn't looked the same.
Yeah, it's the ribs injury to me. Like
Could
he
be.
just doesn't have the same zip on the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And we saw that in the Eagles game too. Like
Yeah.
it was clear he wasn't 100%.
Yeah, it was. I still think he's going to be a good player.
Oh, I do too. There are a lot of reasons for excitement about Jaden Daniels. The other thing I want to talk about in this top 10 real quick, did you hear George Pickens after the Steelers game
No.
talking about the weather?
No.
Now, it's a tricky thing because so many of George Pickens' Georgia teammates are on the Eagles, but that is like the perfect Nick Sirianni put it up in front of the whole team so they can hear it. Him complaining about the weather, saying he doesn't think the Browns are a better team, but they lost because of the weather in the snow.
That was a fun game to watch.
That is the biggest loser mentality ever.
It is. It is. You're right.
I hate that. And that's something that like Nick kind of harps on all the time. Like I wouldn't like I said, it's a little tricky. I don't know how those Georgia guys feel about George Pickens, but that's something that Nick should play in front of the whole team.
Kenny Pickett likes him and made him look good. College. Did you go to Pitt?
Who?
Oh, never mind.
No, George Pickens plays for the Steelers.
You know, where did he go to college?
Georgia.
He went to Georgia. You just said that. I'm confused. But he didn't. Weren't they teammates with the Steelers?
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I just get a little confused sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to make sure we have different rankings next week.
That'd be great if you could do that. I want to get into questions.
Of the Giants, number 6. Yeah, let's do some questions.
All right. If you have a question for us, it's eagle-eye at nbcuni.com. That's eagle-eye at nbcuni.com. That's how email addresses work. We have a bunch of them today. First one is from Nathan. I asked a couple weeks back about Saquon's chances at MVP, and you guys said not likely. Have you changed your mind? He must be number 2 behind Josh Allen right now, and if he finishes slow and the Eagles don't, I see it happening. Thanks as always.
I certainly think when you run for 255 yards and 270-yard touchdowns, first player in NFL history, by the way, with 270-yard touchdowns in the second half. When you do that on national TV, it certainly raises your national profile. I still think it's going to be hard for him to win it. If I had to vote right now, I'd vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's going to win it.
Yeah, it's funny, Nathan, because it's like you asked us before he had a 255-yard game. Like, yeah, that's going to help his chances quite a bit. And like in terms of value, yeah, I think the MVP means different things to different people, and I think that's a part of the reason why it's so tough to come to a consensus a lot of times. But yeah, I mean, his value to the Eagles is immense.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess Josh Allen means as much to the Bills, but and he's having a really good year.
Yeah. And now look, like if you're going to play the game, like you remove Josh Allen from the Bills, you remove Saquon Barkley from the Eagles, who's in worse shape. Honestly, it's probably the Bills without their quarterback.
Yeah, but that's the nature of the position.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it becomes like, well, then does that mean it always just goes to a quarterback?
Yeah. Well, lately it has.
It has. Yeah. Next question is from Matt. Fellas, what a game. I'll skip the redundant small talk and get right to the question. What are the chances Saquon wins MVP and Offensive Player of the Year if he keeps up this historic streak? I was doing some research and found it was quite common for the MVP to either win the Offensive Player of the Year or Defensive Player of the Year, depending on their position. Recently, it seems that the voters have changed their stance on how the votes go in each category, with MVP going to a quarterback and Offensive Player of the Year going to a skill position. Just wondering if you can share some insight on if there's a push from the NFL to just have different players win the awards. If Saquon was to continue to dominate and the Eagles win because of it, voters could debate that he would be offensively the best player in the league and also the most valuable player at the same time.
So it's not an NFL award. It's
Associated Press
AP award. I am a voter, and there are detailed instructions explaining exactly the difference between. I should have it later in the year. I'll kind of go through that, but MVP versus. I think in short, MVP is the player that's most valuable to his team, and Offensive Player of the Year is the guy with the best numbers. It's more of a pure numbers thing. But yeah, it does seem like that's the non-quarterback award, and MVP is the quarterback award. They just call it that, But I mean, it's very specific what they're looking for in those two awards, and it just seems like that's the pattern that's kind of they've settled into.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense in a way.
It does. It does.
When you talk about value, like it's most likely going to be a quarterback.
Nature of the position. But on this team, I mean, I don't know a player that's more valuable to his team than Saquon.
Mm-hmm. I really do think it's going to come down to those two guys.
I think so. I still think Lamar's in the mix. I don't know who else would be. Jared Goff.
Putting up numbers.
Yeah, he's having a heck of a year. Other than that one game where he threw 5 interceptions. But, that's probably it.
Next question is from Jeff. Hey, Reuben, Dave. Saquon is incredible, and the offense is obviously better with him on the field, but is there any concern that he's being used too much with plenty of games still to play? His career high in rushes is 295 in 2022, and his high in total touches is 352 in 2018 and 2022. This year, he's on pace for 334.9 rushers and 374 total touches. In the last 4 games, he's had 28, 15, 30, and 23 total touches. Saquon is an incredible closer, and I feel insane for suggesting that they need to rein in his touches, but they still need him to be Saquon in January. Hope you guys both have a great Thanksgiving and some well-earned time off.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
I'll get a dinner Thursday.
Yeah. I'm not concerned about it. I don't know how you feel, but they manage him during practice. He'll get Wednesdays off. I think they'll probably start doing Wednesday walkthroughs soon anyway. Maybe I didn't even look at this week's schedule. Is it a walkthrough? But I think that's one thing is Nick's really good at in the training staff, full practice, is taking care of him. And the way Nick says it is, if you take care of him from Monday through Saturday, he'll be fine on Sunday. And they'll give Gainwell a series or two. They'll get him out at the end of blowouts, which there have been a lot of. and then there's some runs where he's not getting touched by anybody. So I just think physically this isn't like this isn't a knock on Brian Westbrook, but there's some running backs you just want to be more careful than others, smaller guys. And Westbrook was solid and he was, very tough, but I just feel like Saquon can handle 25, 26 touches a game. And, you hope that there is another game or two where you can get him out after 15, 16. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way they're using him and the way they're managing him during the week.
Yeah, it doesn't feel unnecessary. If it was like unnecessary for them to win, then I think I would have a problem with it. But he's their best player, and they need him to win these games. They're trying to go after the 1 seed. You have to do it. Now, I think there's concern about next year and the year after that. Like, historically, when a guy has a big workload like this, there tend to be consequences down the line. But you can't worry about that right now. You're in the Super Bowl hunt, and he's your best player. You need to play him. You need to try to get the 1 seed because we know how much that matters. So I think it is what it is. I think you're right. Like, you hope that naturally there are going to be some games where you can take him out in the fourth quarter. But if that doesn't happen, so be it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question from Joe. Love the pod. In any other season, the story would be about how the Eagles signed a former New York first-round draft pick as a free agent and then turned him into a great player. And that guy would be named Mekhi Becton. A huge storyline was supposed to be how the Eagles are going to miss Jason Kelce. I'm sure they do in ways we don't see, but on the field it has been a near seamless transition at center, and Becton at guard might be better than Cam was last year. Is it possible that the Eagles lost a Hall of Fame center, maybe one of the best players who ever played, and the O-line got better by turning a former bust at tackle and making him into an elite guard? Incredible stuff. I guess I need to ask a question here. So what the heck? Howie and Stalin together are just an elite combination, fun to watch.
Yeah, I think Cam's played really well the last couple weeks, and Becton, since he came back, he's been really good. I thought it was a little uneven early, maybe a new position. I think he's been really good.
Well, I think the switch to a run-first attack has helped him more than anyone because he is a road grader. He can get out there and get him and Landon in this last game were just bullying people.
Yeah, they were, and I'm not going to say they're a better O-line without Kelce. I can't say that. Maybe the greatest center to ever play, him or Jim Ringo or somebody, but they're really good, and it is I'm glad he mentioned Howie and Stoutland because they work together to find these guys. I mean, Stoutland had, when they draft an offensive lineman, it's not just Howie and his scouting staff saying, "Oh, we like this guy." It's like, "Hey, Stout, what do you think? Let's, go watch this guy."
Oh, I don't know if there's another position coach in the league that has as much sway.
Right.
Maybe not over if they pick an offensive lineman, but when they pick that lineman, you know that Jeff Stoutland has signed off on him.
Exactly. So it is a joint effort, and that's good. I mean, that kind of collaboration is really important and healthy and hasn't always been the case. I mean, when I started covering the Eagles, scouting and coaching didn't even talk to each other. They were that was the whole, first floor versus the fourth floor at the vet. It was the whole, just two completely separate, autonomous, non-communicative departments. And from what Andy told me, that's the way it was back in the NFL. I mean, scouting and coaching never worked together. They never talked to each other. And, that's something he tried to bring to the Eagles. So they certainly have it now. And, Cam's played really well. Becton's played really well. But if it was up to me, I'd take Kelce on my O-line.
Yeah, I get it. But Becton's played so well. And it was so funny because it felt like Stoutland just wanted to see him at guard. And then the second Tyler Steen got hurt, they're like, okay, let's get him in there. And I think he just thought that the ceiling was higher for this offensive line with Becton in there.
Yeah, he was right.
Yeah, I think so. Becton's been really fun. He tweeted after the game that he's finally having fun playing football. He went through a lot in New York, getting called a bust, and I think he brought some of it on himself with his play and maybe his attitude up there at times. But it seems like this has kind of rejuvenated his career.
And I think when you're in this kind of winning culture, it'll do that. And I think that's the value of having a winning culture and success breeding success. People want to be a part of it. And when they get here and they realize what's possible, they're going to fall right in line as far as putting the team before their own goals and aspirations.
Next question from Eric. Hey, Dave and Rube, what are your thoughts on Kenny G? basically being our new Boston Scott going forward beyond this season. Like Boston, he's not mind-blowing, but it is a solid, consistent running back who gives you some depth and a nice change of pace, does an occasional kick return for you, and who knows, maybe eventually can develop into getting all of his touchdowns from one team too. Thanks and go Birds.
Kenny Gainwell has the third most rushing touchdowns in NFL history by a player who started 3 or fewer games in his career, behind only Najee Davenport. He's a good player. I hope he gets an opportunity to be a full-time running back. I'm not sure he will. I know Saquon was kind of promoting that notion, but I think he's in a perfect situation here where, and I don't think it's an easy thing to come in cold and get 3 straight carries or 4 straight carries, whatever it is, but he's used to it. He handles it well, and I mean that touchdown was a really, really nice run, that 13-yard touchdown Sunday night. So
shows some looseness on that.
Yeah, and he's tough, and he's secure with the ball. He doesn't fumble. I think he's in a perfect situation backing up Saquon.
It was really funny. I told you this, that Saquon ran all the way down to celebrate with Kenny. I don't know how you did it. You flew out to L.A. You were running down with Saquon to celebrate with Kenny too.
I was.
How'd you do that?
I just, anytime Kenny's celebrating, I want to be a part of it.
Next question from Owen. Why do we call design quarterback runs? They don't work. We had a chance to put points up at the half and gave them up by calling multiple design runs for Jalen. He's great when the play breaks down, but I don't think I've seen one design call that was successful this year.
Well, like that 8-yard touchdown was called. No,
they have had successful design runs. I think the play calling in that situation was it was silly.
Yeah.
At the last design run, they were trying to run the clock out, which was a stupid idea. But in general, I think there have been some successful, especially the draw plays. I don't know if the zone read has been as successful this year, but some of the draw plays have worked.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it still works more often than not. And Jalen looks fast, which usually by this time of the season he doesn't. So, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about keeping the defense honest. It might be a 2-yard gain in the stat book, but if it makes them hesitate a split second more on that next Saquon run and they can't catch him because of it, then it all kind of works in harmony like that.
The one concern is him taking hits on some of those. And I still think he's got to be smarter about getting down or getting out of bounds and protecting himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one here from Scott. This Thanksgiving, I am thankful for multi-weekly doses of Eagle Eye with Dave and Rube. A couple questions. We'll go through each of these. Outside of Zach Bond and a future free agent Micah Parsons, who are the next second contract signings on defense?
On defense, well, they have guys on offense that are really important. But Sweat, it's not a second contract, but I think it's
Another
important
contract.
to get him signed.
Milton Williams
Milton's up
on the final year. Time to make a decision on Jordan Davis.
Yeah,
coming up.
Yeah, he's in year 3 now, so he's going into year 4. I think most of their biggest decisions are on offense, but there's some big ones on defense too, no doubt. And they've had the luxury of having it. I mean, this defense is super cheap. I don't know if Spotrac has the percentages, offense, defense, what they're paying. It's got to be 70-30.
Mm-hmm. Nakobe's in year 3, so he's going to be entering the final year next year, so he'd be eligible.
We don't talk about Nakobe much, but man,
he had a great game on Sunday.
He's playing really well, and I remember I talked to him. I think it was locker cleanout day last year, and he was like, "I know the fans here, are wondering about me, but I'm so sure I'm going to be a really good player here. So just be patient, and it's going to come." And it has. He's really, really active. He's around the ball. That interception that's not an easy play in the end zone. So I just like where he's at, and a guy who, his first 2 years, it wasn't coming easy, and injuries, and obviously he didn't play as a rookie. Those are the kind of guys that you like to see do well. He's a good guy. And you hope that Bond and Nakobe are here for the long term because just play so well together.
What are the chances that happens, though?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting, how he doesn't sign linebackers. So, Nakobe's a 3rd-round pick. He's not making a huge amount of money. Zach Bond's making barely over the minimum. So you're going to pay both these guys?
I don't know. And the next question kind of flows into that. Does having Trotter Jr. as a draft pick worry you a little bit about Howie going into negotiations with Bond?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that'll help tell us what they think of Trot. He hasn't really gotten on the field on defense. Maybe
Made a nice play, actually, when he got in the game on Sunday.
yeah, some garbage time. I don't use that word. It's important to him, but end of the game. Look, Zach Bond is a special player, and he's a Pro Bowler, and he's their defensive MVP. And I think if you just look at the production, I don't care what position he's playing. Like, if he was producing the way he is as anything else, you wouldn't think there's any issue about how he's signing him. Just that linebacker tag. So you're going to, maybe the fact that he paid Saquon, paid a running back, maybe he's changing his ways.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier, but like so many of their big contracts are on offense, so it gives you the luxury of paying a linebacker if you choose to go that route.
My gut feeling is he's going to sign Bond.
Okay. What are your favorite Thanksgiving side dishes?
Oh, I'm kind of old school. I mean, just stuffing. Some not a cranberry sauce guy, but
Neither homemade nor canned?
no. Homemade mashed potatoes in the crock pot. Big fan. Good mashed potatoes, some asparagus or string beans.
You yams guy?
Yeah, I like yams, but I'd rather just go like mashed.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about this is not from Scott, this is from me, pie choice at the end?
You already gave me grief about carrot cake, so
Yeah.
but
Keep carrots out of cake.
Pecan pie is probably my favorite. I'll go apple pie with a little scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Ooh.
Dave's excited.
A la mode, huh?
I don't know. You ever hear that story about Stan Walters when Vermeil would be halftime and Vermeil would start screaming and yelling, and Jerry Sizemore and Stan Walters are both all Pro Bowl tackles, and they would sit in the back of the locker room and Vermeil would get louder and louder and scream and Jerry Sizemore, every time Vermeil would get loud, he'd go, "A la mode, Stan, a la mode," and it was his expression for when Vermeil would start screaming. And when he would get really loud, he'd like, "A la mode, Big Stan, a la mode." Just a little window into 1980s Eagles halftime locker room.
What I wanted.
A la mode, Big Stan,
And
a la
then,
mode.
last one from Scott.
Well, what are your favorite side dishes?
I'm a big yam guy.
Okay.
I like a little savory sweet mix there.
Okay.
I do a good mix on the plate. Like I'm getting a little everything. If it's a good homemade mac and cheese, I'm in on that.
Ooh.
Like the breadcrumbs and the crusts on the end, I'm in on that. I like an end piece of the mac and cheese. Very strategically, you got an end piece.
Our colleague Eva works at a restaurant that has lobster macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan?
I don't need it. Like I'll eat it, but I don't need it. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Thoughts on Humphreys McGee?
They're fine. They're good musicians. They're great musicians. I've said this before. That whole jam band thing, I just don't have the patience to listen to a 17-minute song with a bunch of solos, only to be like, "Oh, thank God it finally ended," and they start another 17-minute song with a bunch of solos. It's just not my scene, not my thing.
Okay.
But they're really talented.
I have a buddy who's a big Fish fan, and he'll go to the shows, and I'm like, "How many songs do they play? Like 4?"
They played 5 hours and 28 minutes. Some of the best concerts I've been to have been like 90 minutes. You get in, you rock it out, you don't leave anything on the stage, get off the stage, you go home. I don't need 5.5 hours of.
I'd have another weird question for you. How do you feel about encores? Like when it's like, I feel like it's just such a, like there's going to be an encore. I want to go back to when like encores were like a special thing.
Something you earned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And
it's like now it's like allotted time for the encore and for the second, like at big shows.
yeah, nobody's even clapping and they come back
Yeah.
out. There are bands they'll come out at the start and say, like, "We're not doing an encore. So this is the set. This is our last. It really is our last song." And I like that. The one thing that when I started going to concerts, bands would get booed off the stage if they were bad. Now everybody applauds everything, no matter how bad, how much the band sucks. And
I'm okay with that. Let's have a good time.
no, I'm all for booing. Why is it okay at an Eagles game to boo, but not at a concert? I remember booing Al Di Meola off the stage at the Calderon Concert Hall when he was opening for. Remember Al? I think he's still around. He was always a jazz guitarist. He was opening. It was weird. He was opening for UK at the Calderon in Hempstead, New York, and he just got booed. I remember James Taylor's brother getting booed off the stage. What was his brother, Livingston Taylor? I think got booed off the stage at Nassau Coliseum opening for Jethro Tull. Like, who's putting this acoustic James Taylor's brother opening for Jethro Tull? But
it'd be funny if James Taylor's brother was like a way like just not what you'd expect.
no, he was like
Slash out there.
10th rate watered down. Yeah. 10th rate watered down. Yeah, so playing a little folk music, goes into like Sweet Child of Mine guitar riff. But yeah, and I remember going to a concert in Morristown, New Jersey, going to see Nectar, and the opening band was so bad, and everybody was just booing. And I don't think people were throwing stuff, but literally everybody in the house was booing. They were awful. And they just left the stage after like 2.5 songs. They just left.
Think
left
they get
the
paid
building.
the same?
They get paid.
That's nice.
They
It's like
probably
short
got
debt.
paid like $100. But I just think if a band's that bad, we got to get back to booing a band.
I disagree. It's more subjective than football. Football, you know what success and what isn't.
Oh, I think that's true in art. I think there's good and there's bad, and I think it's
It's more subjective than football.
I don't know. I mean, is this great art? Like,
There's this, yeah. sure.
unanimously, everybody was saying this isn't really not great art. I don't know what that is, but
Are you saying it's not great?
I'm saying that anyway.
Oh my God!
We
You're
have-
bragging on
Do
the
we have,
on
do we
our
have any
logo?
more, do we have any more questions
No,
before
we have,
go totally off the rails
We're going to
here?
get a lot of them on the next pod. But if you have a question for us, it's eagle-eye@nbcuni.com. The graphic designers are outside waiting for you right now. They're coming to get you. Real quick,
yeah.
I promised that you would tell the story. Richard Tea Time.
I was hoping you'd forget. Were you there? Were you part of that?
No, I wasn't.
It was myself, Tim McManus, and someone else. I think Jeff McClain, and we were talking to Jason Avant, and it was about this time of year, and he was just saying how important the next couple games are, stretch run, and he said, it's what he said, it's Richard Tea Time, and Tim McManus said, what is it? What time is it? He said, Richard Tea Time. And Tim's like, and Tim will kill me for telling this story. He said, Tim's like, Richard T? Who's Richard T? And Jason Avant looks at us. He's like, no, grit your teeth time. And Tim thought Richard T was like a rapper that he was talking about. And it was grit your teeth time. And Avant loves the story. He was cracking up. We were all just losing it. But
now it's become a thing whenever there's grit your teeth time. It's Richard Tea Time.
yeah, and Tim will text me to this day, like, it's like 4th and 4. Eagles are down by 3. I'll get a text from Tim, like in Dallas or something. It's Richard Tea Time. Anyway, one quick thing I just want to say in all seriousness, I've been reading all the. We're both on Blue Sky. We should tell people that we're both on Blue Sky now. I don't really tweet anymore, so you can find me on Blue Sky, Rube World. I've been reading the comments on YouTube, on our YouTube, and the podcast is on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. I don't know if you knew that.
The
Podcast we're doing right now, but I don't have time to like respond to them all. There's a lot of them, but I really appreciate them, and people are so into this podcast, and it means a lot to them. And a lot of people out of town, like a lot of our emails are from out of town, and it's their connection to the team. A lot of people in the city. I just really appreciate it, and I'm sure Dave would too if he knew that we were on YouTube. But it's it really means a lot, and we love what we do, and we just think it's great that you guys are into it. So thanks for all those comments, and wish I could reply to everyone, but I wouldn't get any work done. So thank you.
All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Want to end here? Are we good? All right.
Can we end like 10 minutes ago?
I was trying. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll be back with you later.
You were trying. You're like, what, do you like yams? That's like Dave trying to end the podcast. Do you like yams?
If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. We'll